everybody. This is like my third time recording this introduction, so my hair looks different, the angle might be different, might be a little going crazy. Actually, I know I'm going crazy. But today I am super excited because I'm going to be talking about all of the books I hope to read in the month of July. And I'm going to tell you right now, I have some great books picked. It could help if I could talk. I have a bunch of rereads I'm doing. I'm rereading a bunch of old favorites. I have some new ones, some YA, some nonfiction, a little bit of everything. And once again, these are just books I hope to be reading in July. That doesn't mean I'm actually going to read all of them. So let's go ahead and get started. The first book I have here is an old favorite of mine, and that's called Anne Frank and Me by Cherie, Bennett, and Jeff Gottesfeld. And this is a young adult book I picked up at the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum right here in Washington, D.C. when I went in 7th grade on a field trip. And I bought it on a whim because the title really intrigued me. And I loved it. And it's about a girl named Nicole, and it takes place first in modern day. And she and her friends are going on a field trip to a museum to see an Anne Frank exhibit. And then there is a shooting or of some sort, and Nicole falls, she hits her head, and she wakes up in Nazi-occupied France as a young Jewish girl named, I can't remember her name, something similar. It's just Nicole. She keeps the same name, Nicole. I, for some reason, thought she changed her name. So she knows what happens, but then, like, slowly over time, she starts to, like, forget everything that happens in the future. And I loved it. It was a World War II book. There was definitely not a shortage of those, but just the concept of this pseudo-time travel that really intrigued me the most. And so I wasn't planning on rereading this one over the summer, but I was going through a box of books at my mom's house looking for another book, which ironically I did not find, and I came across this one. I was like, I completely forgot that this book even existed. So I snagged it, and I'm going to read it, and I'm so excited to do that. Hey guys, future Christina here. So I was packing up all my books to put them back on my TBR cart, and I realized that this book is actually based off of a play. It says it on the front of the book. It's like a New York Times play, like award-winning play or something like that. So I knew that, I forgot that. It's written on the cover of the book. Just wanted to share that with you guys so you knew that as well. Another book I want to talk about for next month is Mirage by Somaiya Daud. And this follows a girl, Amani, and it's a sci-fi book. And when she goes through her coming-of-age ceremony, when she turns 18, she is actually abducted and taken to the royal palace because she is an exact twin to the crown princess, who does not have the best reputation amongst the empire. So Amani is taken there to be a body double for her for, oh my gosh, what's her name? Something with an M. Why can't I remember? Maram, my apologies. And she is also there to kind of revamp the reputation of Maram and get people to like her more. And the whole time she's going through courtly intrigue, love, all sorts of things. And this is a duology. This is the first in a duology. It is sci-fi, but with like a Middle Eastern twist. And it's supposed to be excellent. And I can't wait to read it. Next up, we have a middle grade book that I read at least once, maybe twice when I was much younger. And it is the Dollhouse Murders by Betty Wright. I hope if I could get the name correct. And this is the 35th anniversary. Wow, words are really hard today. No, you can't have that little anniversary cover. So I was upset because I really wanted the old cover that I remembered when I was young, but I couldn't find it actually to buy this on Amazon. Some of the books that I'm rereading I was able to get from the used bookstore. This one and another one I had to buy off of Amazon. So this is about a girl named Amy, and she's freaked out about this dollhouse that's in the attic. She's heard weird scratching sounds, and then the dolls are moving and not where they were when she left them. And then it turns out that they're like recreating this murder that happened. It's haunted, and these dolls are recreating this murder so the murder can be solved. And so she has to solve this murder. I read a lot of books about haunted dolls and dollhouses when I was young. I don't know why. It was a trend. I read a lot of ghost books in the first place. you'll notice some other freaky books in this list that are rereads. But this is a reread for me. I definitely think I could get it done in like a day. It's 140 pages. I could probably get this bad boy done in one sitting, and that might be what I'll do. But I definitely enjoyed this book. Can't wait to see if it holds up after all these years. My next book is The Girls by Emma Cline. I keep wanting to say Ernest Cline, which I know is not correct. Ernest Cline wrote Ready Player One. And this takes place in the 1960s in California, and it's about a girl named Evie. Please pardon Willow. She wants to go outside and play. She's been out like 3 times this morning. She's fine. So Evie kind of runs away from home, ends up in California, and she meets up with this group that are just, they preach free love and drugs and all of that, and she goes and she starts staying with them. And there's a leader, and he's like a musician and really charismatic, but things are like much darker than they seem. And in case you haven't connected all the dots, Charles Manson vibes 100% with this book. I'm just very excited to read it. I think it sounds awesome, fascinating. I don't know if it's a retelling of Charles Manson, like actually about it, or just kind of like inspired by the Manson murders, but I am definitely for this book. Oh my gosh, guys, I recorded my whole blurb for this book, and I thought I was recording. Spoiler alert, I wasn't. I had to get up, let Willow out, and then I look up, and I'm like, the red light's not on. Great. So my next book that I already talked about, that I'm going to talk about again, is Wait Till Helen Comes by Mary Downing Hahn. This is another middle grade book that I read ages ago, and I'm excited to see if it holds up. And it's about a girl named Molly and her younger brother Michael, and they're part of a newly blended family. They have a younger stepsister named Heather, who's really bratty and spoiled and everything. Sorry, Lois playing with toys. And so they move into this house, their blended family moves into this new house out in the country, and Heather has this imaginary friend named Helen. But then like crazy, creepy things start happening, and Molly figures out that Helen is a ghost of a little girl, and she's quite lonely. And so she's trying to convince Heather to do dangerous things so that she can join her in the afterlife, and Helen will no longer be alone. And the problem is that the adults are not believing Molly and Michael. And they're trying, as much as they don't like Heather, they're like, look, we gotta save her, we gotta protect her. I loved this book when I was younger. It was one of the first ghost books I read that it became like this full-on obsession, and that's like all I read for a while. And it's also a movie now, which I didn't know. I was doing a throwback post on Instagram, and I was looking up the plot of Wait Till Helen Comes, because I remember the basics, but I'm like, let me refresh my memory about some details, and it's like, movie. I was like, wait, what? So it is a movie now, and it is on Amazon Prime, and I've been wanting to watch it, but I want to wait until I read the book so I can do both. I mean, I've read the book, but reread it. So I am very excited to reread this book during my Summer Favorites reread, and hopefully it will stand up, and hopefully, I'm not going to lie, the trailer to the movie looked super creepy. I'll link it down below, but it looked really scary. I'm like, this is a kid's book, our middle grades book. It was definitely scary. Our next book is another summer old favorites reread, and that is Locked in Time by Lois Duncan. Lois Duncan wrote I Know What You Did Last Summer and Killing Mr. Griffin. This once again deals with a blended family, and Noor, her dad's just gotten remarried. She has these step-siblings and her stepmom, but something doesn't seem quite right. So she starts digging into their past, and she finds the proverbial skeletons in their closet, and things are definitely not what they seem. Lois Duncan was really my first trial run at thrillers, and I really liked this one the best. I read some others, but this was the one that really stuck with me, that I remember really, really, really enjoying. I wanted the old cover. I couldn't find it. They had at the used bookstore so many Lois Duncan books, but not this one. So this was the other one I had to buy on Amazon. It's kind of bummed, but you know, that's life. So I don't know. This just gives me Alice in Wonderland vibes. I have no idea why. I really don't. Here's the cover. For some reason, I just get Alice in Wonderland vibes when I look at this cover. I just think I'm totally crazy. Next, I have something that's another rarity for me, and I have two in the stack. That's a nonfiction book, and this one is Nothing to Envy, Ordinary Lives in North Korea by Barbara Demick. And this follows 6 North Koreans, average North Koreans, from the death of, I always get the names mixed up, so I have to cheat, from the death of Kim Il-sung, who was the one who established the dictatorship in North Korea and is the grandfather of the current dictator of North Korea, to the rise of Kim Jong-il, and then also this famine that killed 1/5 of North Korea's population. And so this is just really an insight into life in North Korea. I have another book about North Korea that's apparently written by people from North Korea. These stories were like smuggled out. I can't remember the name of that one, but it's by someone named Bandy, B-A-N-D-I, and that's upstairs, and I'm going to read that at some point. But I've had this on my shelf for a while, and I really want to read it. I remember once, this was many years ago, and I think it was about the time I was traveling. I went to 5 countries in 13 months. That's the correct way it goes. And I remember saying something, I was talking to my parents, and they said, I have this weird fascination with North Korea. And my dad just looks at me and goes, no. I'm like, look, I'm not going there, but there's this fascination. There was this awesome documentary on Netflix years ago about it. And so it's just one of those things that I want to know more about, but from a distance. And so I'm excited to read this book, hear stories about the average person, and just hope that it's not a sanitized version, because that's what you get with a lot of North Korea. And so I really want like the truth, the facts. Give me the facts. I'm a historian. Tell me the truth from the beginning. Next, I have part 2 of a duology that I started a while ago and just love. And that is We Unleash a Merciless Storm by Tehlor K. Mejia. And this is the sequel to We Set the Dark on Fire. And I loved the first one. First of all, this cover, oh my gosh. So this book follows Carmen and her involvement in the resistance, the La Voz, which means the voice. And everything's going great until she's torn because the love of her life, and I can't remember her name, but she's the main character in the first book, there's an assassination plot against her. So Carmen has to decide which side she wants to be on. And I love these books because I thought that it's a dystopia book, but it has Latin American characteristics. Hi, Willow. Did you finish eating? Okay, Willow finished eating and wanted you guys to know. So it has these Latin American characteristics. It has this really unique world and mythology and everything. And I just thought it was absolutely fabulous. And I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to do a books with sequels I want to read soon. And I'm going to bring up that book. We Unleash the Merciless Storm in that video as well. The last reread I have is an absolute favorite of mine. I think it's the book I've reread the most in my life, and I'm embarrassed to say I've read it probably 10 times. And that is Mandy by Julie Edwards. You probably know this author as Julie Andrews. Yes, the actress. Mary Poppins, Maria from The Sound of Music, the Queen from Princess Diaries. She wrote 2 books. She wrote Mandy, and she wrote the last of the really great Winged Doodles. I've never read the other one, but this book, oh my gosh. It's kind of like A Secret Garden with a little bit of a Little Princess, definite cottagecore vibes, adorable, adorable book. Plus it has, let me see if I can find some, these awesome pen illustrations. So this follows 10-year-old Mandy, and she lives in an orphanage, and she's not mistreated or anything like that. Please excuse Willow, she thinks she needs to go out, but she does not. And she just wants something of her own, something to belong. She's very well taken care of. She has friends. And then one day she climbs the wall around the orphanage and finds this adorable little cottage in the woods. And she starts to clean it up and make it her own space. And it's really about her tending to the space, making it her own, and trying to find her own way and her own identity. And it's adorable. I love the cover. I love everything about it. It's a book that is just definitely near and dear to my heart. So that is the last reread I will be doing this summer, because how can I reread some of my favorites if I don't reread my #1 favorite? Last, I have a book that was a gift for me. I think it was a birthday present from a very good friend of mine, and that is Clanlands by C.M. Heughan and Graham McTavish. These are the two of the stars of Starz' show Outlander, and basically it's the two of them gallivanting all over Scotland, learning about Scotland, the culture, the history, everything. And I think that the blurb on the back really exemplifies the personality and how much fun this book is going to be. It says, I admit I have a childish obsession with tormenting Graham. That's a quote by Sam Heughan. And then Graham's quote says, my tomb will bear the inscription, blame Sam Heughan. So I think it's going to be so much fun to read. You're going to get history, you're going to get culture, and you're going to get these two good friends who are just going to torment the heck out of each other. So, yeah, super pumped. This book's going to be a blast. So there you have it, everybody. These are all of the wonderful books I'm hoping to read in the month of July. It's a lot, and it is a lot simply because Willow is barking at the back door, and because a lot of them are middle grade, young adult. There is a horrendous amount. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of the 10 books I have here are middle grade or young adult, and I know I can read those super quick. I'm very excited. I'm super excited to come back at the end of July and tell you what I thought of all of these. In the meantime, I'm going to go let Willow out. She's going to go roll around in a bunch of mulch again and maybe surprise me by going to the bathroom. But in the meantime, she wanted to come, say goodbye, and we will see you guys next time. Bye, everybody. Stay safe.